Hello, these are our gals. Today we're going to talk about building a chicken coop for them. No, this isn't the coop. I only wish. It's the shed in our backyard. However, if you look behind the shed, I managed to dig out an area where we can try to squeeze our chicken coop into. Let's take a quick look at the goal that we're going to be working toward. This is our final chicken coop. It will have several different entrances to make it easy to get into. The original plan called for its own water collection system off the roof. And the coop will be very clearly marked as to where you can go and collect your fresh eggs. There will be a nice pathway, so you don't have to even put your shoes on to go get your eggs in the morning. The coop maintenance area will have everything you need readily available at your fingertips. Let's get started talking about designing it. Our first problem was limited space. How much room is there? The dirt wall from the hole I dug simply won't work. It's too unstable. The solution lays in the wonderful world of man-made rock, reinforced concrete. Let's take a quick tour of building a concrete wall. First, you start with your hole in the ground. You pour a rebar reinforced concrete foundation. You build the aft end of the formwork. Using your trusty roto hammer, drill holes for the new rebar. Install rebar and formwork spacers, and get creative. Build yourself your forward formwork and support it. At this point, absolutely double check everything. Once you start mixing concrete, there's no room for mistakes. Time to pour. Voila! You now have a new wall, just like that. Notice the rebar on the top of the wall? That's to hold a big old mahogany beam in place. A very important step, include drainage behind the wall. After all, you're building a wall, not a dam. Perforated drain pipe and gravel fits the bill in this case. We then built the second wall. First we poured the second foundation. We drilled holes and installed rebar. Installed the aft formwork. And then installed the front formwork. We checked everything over twice and poured the concrete. Now that we finally finished, we know how much room we have to work with for the coop. That's enough playing with concrete, so let's move on. Around the perimeter of the pen, we buried 8-inch high cinder blocks. This will keep predators from digging in underneath the fence. Or at least, we hope so. This is the place where we made our first mistake. We thought the pen would be easier to clean if there was hard-packed dirt on the floor. All it did was force us to clean the pen every few days. The chicken waste would just sit on the ground and the girls would be stepping in it and spreading it out. For the first fix, we covered the entire pen with a generous layer of sifted dirt. This worked very well for us, because the chickens would scratch around in the dirt and cover up their waste. Our pen cleanup time was also reduced to about once a week. Even with the dirt, during the hot summer months, it still smelled like a chicken coop, so we started looking for a better way to control odor. We found out that wood chips worked wonderfully for this purpose. The wood chips would absorb the moisture out of the chicken droppings and cause the droppings to dry out quicker, thus the smell would go away. Another bonus having wood chips is that it lengthened the time in between chicken pen cleanings. When it comes time to clean out the chicken pen, the wood chips make a very nice ground cover for our tree line, so nothing is wasted. I digress. Now let's get back to the chicken coop. As you can see from the picture, we only have about 4 square feet to work with. That's not a whole bunch of room. There won't be any access from either side. The front side will be the side the chicken pen is on, and the back side is nearly 4 feet off the ground. Collecting the eggs really needs to be done from the back, because walking through the pen every day is not something you really want to do. My trusty assistant picked up 4 10-foot 4x4 posts to get us started. We sunk the posts into the ground, then we installed plywood in order to make the sidewalls. After building the walls, we made sure we put ventilation into them. We went with a clear roof. This lets us not only check up on them at night without disturbing them, but it also gives them a nice view of the outside world while they're in it, and also lets sunlight inside. On both sides of the roof, there's ventilation gaps. All of the chicken how-to books say you can't have too much ventilation. The bottom side of the roof has this wood gutter that we built. The water is routed down, goes into the tube. The tube is routed down the side of the fence and actually goes into the post and routes the water onto the outside of the chicken pen. Once we got a roof over their head, we decided to include some chicken amenities. As this video shows, taking a dust bath is one of their very most favorite things to do in the whole world. Since we have monsoon season 9 months out of the year, they needed an indoor dust bath area. It's lined with cedar, and all the regular wood is painted. We wanted them to have nice, clean, rock-free dirt, so we built this dirt sifter. Just look at the fine quality of that dirt that's coming out of that sifter. Next was to lug the dirt from the sifter staging area all the way down and put it into their dust bath. Seeing luxuries like this almost makes you want to be a chicken yourself. There you have it, one completed indoor chicken dust bath area. Our initial design consideration revolved completely around making it easy to clean the coop. This plastic bucket turned out to be our secret weapon. Metal would be either too heavy, corrode, or be too cold in the winter. The hundreds of other plastic items we looked at would be too brittle, too fragile, too wide, too narrow. Yes, it did indeed take us weeks to find this. Who would think that walking through the concrete aisle of Home Depot would come up with a solution for our problem? The sidewalls of the coop were built so they were exactly the same length as our mixing trough. As you can see, the trough has a nice lip on both sides. So we built rails that will support the trough. We then cut the main chicken coop door so that the trough can be inserted and removed without actually opening the door. Directly below the trough, you can see their dirt bath. Let's look at how easy it is to pull it out to clean. If you're not holding the camera here, like I am, you can just carry it to your yard waste bin, dump it out, and then slide it right back in the coop and you're done. Takes about 2.5 minutes. Looking above the trough, it's a straight shot from inside the coop down into the trough. Once again, experience told us wood chips are our friend. A very light layer of wood chips in the bottom makes clean out so easy you don't even need to scrape it, you just pour it. Also, the wood chips help absorb the moisture from the chicken droppings, keeping it cleaner and making it smell better in there. Let me share a colossal failure with you. Look how nice that wire mesh on the floor of the coop looks. The plan was the chickens could walk on it, they'd poop, it'd fall right through, and everybody was happy. Instead of having the free-flowing poop through the goose proverb, what we really got was the bug on the windshield goes splat. Oh, and I might add, needs to be scraped off later. After learning our lesson, we left the wire in there. As long as the girls were young enough, we didn't want them falling through. Then we eventually removed it. When we built the floor to the restaurant area, we took the dimensions of an adult chicken and figured out if their beak is in the food, where's the other end of the chicken? And we designed the floor so the other end of the chicken would be hanging over into the waste collection area. So far, after about a year, it's worked pretty good. The remaining areas of the floor were dedicated to the bottom end of the ventilation. The cool, fresh air can enter from the bottom. Rodents can't get in. Above the screened-in areas, we put steeply slanted cedar boards to direct any waste that falls from the perch away from the screen and into the collection area. When it comes time to clean, we've strategically placed scrapers throughout the chicken coop, top and bottom, and out in the pen, so that we can easily reach up, scrape, and then put the scraper away without having to walk around looking for tools. And finally, we have a set of tools for cleaning up out in the backyard when they're out roaming around. Yep, just a standard doggy pooper, scooper, picker-upper. During the summertime, you can just walk around with the garden hose and hit it with the hose, and it breaks it down and causes it to melt into the soil. No picking it up. It's time to move on to building their gymnasium and their chicken roosts. Because we were so limited by space, we went ahead and went with the circular staircase idea. We mounted the center post, Then each of their steps attached to the center post, spiraling upward. The steps are far enough apart that each step can be used as a roost. Since the roosts are actually spaced apart, the chickens can roost on top of each step without leaving little presents on top of each other's heads. When the chickens were younger, we were concerned that the roost might be too far apart, so we put a secondary set of steps in there so that they could climb all the way up to the top, using the secondary steps as well as the primary steps. This system worked great. They could climb all the way to the top very easily, and they'd roost with no problems. But apparently chickens with clipped wings are kind of like cats. They go up with no problem, but getting down might be another story. A quick modification soon fixed that problem. We removed the secondary steps, and then we installed this ramp. It has wire mesh and wood strips to give them lots of traction when they're going up and down. We call it the gymnasium because they gotta really work hard to get up to the top. Okay, let's go back downstairs to the restaurant area. I've already mentioned how we spaced the floor out so that it stay pretty clean. We added a shelf for their little feeder unit to keep them from stepping in it or knocking it over. And their water sits at the very back of the coop where it's out of the way. They don't have to actually walk around it. Once again, it was imperative to us that we be able to service their restaurant area without actually walking into their coop. So on the back side, we built a wall. Then we went ahead and installed a door. My creative bride painted a wheat stalk on there to indicate this was the food entrance. And as you can see, when the doors open, you can easily access all of the restaurant amenities. Let's take a tour. We soon discovered because the water has no handle, it was really hard to get in and out. So we created a handle. Some rope and some hot glue to attach it fits the bill. In the background you can see their heating light and their automatic chicken coop door opener. And we close it up and we're done for the day. The chickens have been serviced. Finally, we needed nest boxes. Nest boxes take up an awful lot of room, which we didn't have, so we went ahead and we expanded out. We went with a shingled roof to give the girls some privacy while they were doing their thing. We marked it so we knew exactly where to go to find the eggs. And as this picture shows, the roof is hinged. To access the eggs, you just lift the roof up. You reach in, grab your eggs, and then you let the roof back down again. And for those times when we sterilize the whole coop with bleach, we just prop open the roof, and it gives us maximum ventilation for drying out the coop. The nesting area needs nest boxes, so we threw together 2 nest boxes. We tried to pick a color we thought they'd like, but they haven't indicated whether they like it or not. Some may notice there's only 2 boxes, but we have 4 chickens. Let me share a secret word with you. It's called timeshare. Let's do what I call the chicken walkthrough. We're a chicken. We want to go up to the nesting area. Ho-hum, walkie walkie, climb, climb, climb. Oh, look how comfortable those nest boxes look. I think I'll lay an egg. My, but I like the color of those boxes. What is this strange gizmo at the top of my chicken coop? That strange gizmo happens to be a remote temperature sensor. The third line down says it's currently 37.9 degrees Fahrenheit in the chicken coop. This way we can keep track of the temperature in the coop, find out if it's too hot or too cold for them, without even leaving the comfort of our own home. Now that your chicken coop's done, let's look at some of the stuff it takes to support the chicken pen. We created a maintenance area where everything we need is at our fingertips, and it's all waterproof, because we live in a place that has a lot of rain. Okay, since you never ever want to go into the chicken pen with your regular street shoes on, for obvious reasons, we've created the boot box. So you just come over here onto this nice paved walkway, take your shoes off, reach into the boot box, grab your boots, put some rubber or latex gloves on, and you're good to go to enter into the chicken pen. Next to the boot box, we have the waste bin for when we clean out the chicken pen. We have a place to put the stuff. We have the bedding bin. Chicken bedding is stored in there. And we have the feed bin. We keep the girls' feed there, and we mix in their oyster shells so that their eggs will be nice and strong. And then that's their treat box. And then when you come out, we got a little bit of hand sanitizer. And then we had to put a removable fence up to keep the girls out of the maintenance area. Since our girls are going to be free range, they'll need a way in and out of the coop. We don't want them walking where we're going to be walking. That's where this little area comes into play. I use this area for wood storage, so we'll just build them a little tunnel underneath the wood storage area. Here you can see the tunnel that goes all the way through to the chicken pen. And of course we need a way to control whether they're getting out through the tunnel or not. So on the chicken pen side, we put this guillotine-style trap door. It's controlled by a rope. Green on the indicator tells us the trap door is closed. When you pull the rope, it goes up in the air, showing a bunch of red, which tells us the trap door is open. Release the rope, the indicator drops back down to green, telling us the door is closed. If you're asking why we need an indicator, it's because the trap door is hidden so we can't see it easily. This indicator we can easily see from the kitchen of our house. If we see red, we know the girls are out. Let's go to the chicken cam on a closed trap door. Let's go eat some bugs. Yay! Hey, what's this? This is closed. Bummer. Now we'll have happy chicken cam on an open trap door. Oh look, it's open. Let's make a break for it. I see an escape tunnel. Let's go down it. Once we get out of the tunnel, make a run for it. Of course, since our girls are picky, when it started getting dark during the winter, they refused to go into a dark tunnel. So we had to install lighting in the tunnel for them so they'd actually use it. Then we built other standard amenities like the outdoor jungle gym. And while they're working out on the jungle gym, they'd work up a sweat because there was no ventilation in such a small confined area. About an hour's worth of work with a 3-inch hole saw and the fence took care of that problem. And it doesn't actually look that bad from the other side. It gives the fence a unique look. I call this the woodpecker look. Since the shed is right next to the chicken pen, we decided to use the roof of the shed to collect water for the girls. The water comes down, hits this homemade gutter, goes into the hole, down into there, and then it fills up the rain barrel. On the chicken coop side, we have a spigot. We can go ahead and we can turn it on. We can get all the water we need for chicken needs. It works pretty good. We did, however, decide not to use this as our primary water source. Searching the internet seems to have mixed results as to whether that would be safe or not. But since it's built, we'll keep it and use it as a backup. As far as their food goes, we're using a multi-layered approach. Chickens waste a lot of food, so we designed a couple systems to catch it. The first is a wood basin with a rim around it to catch all the food that they knock out of the feeder. Then that is sitting on top of bricks to give it a nice flat surface so they can pick the food off the flat surface and it doesn't get into the dirt. We then hook the food to a pulley system that goes up to the roof, all the full length of the chicken pen, and outside of the chicken pen. Okay, it comes from that pulley over here to this cleat. We have found that keeping the food up at beak level makes them waste a lot less food because they can't scoop it out. They have to pick it up. And also at night we can just slip the food all the way to the top of the covered pen, removing it from rodents, and then in the morning we can put it back down. Once again, no going into the pen. After cutting out all the ventilation holes, keep the plugs of wood that you pulled out so that in the wintertime you can add or subtract plugs of wood to enable heating of the pen. It's very hard to heat a coop that has all the ventilation vents open. For heat, we simply use a light bulb. We just change the wattage of the light bulb depending on how cold it is in the coop. And of course, keep track of the internal temperature of the coop using the remote temperature sensor inside the house. Install a walkway so that when you go get an egg for the frying pan, you don't have to even put your shoes on. Finally, as a last step, we installed extra cameras in the chicken pen so that we could watch them on our video surveillance system. We can go to any computer in our house and watch the chickens do their chicken thing. Before I jump to the video that our security system shows, let's take a look at the spreadsheet that we use for tracking our chickens' egg production. We also track how much food they eat, and then it tells us how much our free eggs are actually costing us. Currently, we're looking at about 41 cents per egg. So I've sped up the security video to show how we think they actually eat the food. Look at how fast they can eat. At night, the security camera cuts to night vision so we can still see them even if it's pitch dark out. Another advantage of night vision is if we get any kind of rodents in the pen at night, their eyes shine like little flashlights. This is an easy way to find out if you have a rodent problem or not. Well, it's been a long journey. Thanks for watching.